It's time to remove and sharpen the blades on my zero-turn mower. Removal of the blades and sharpening them is practically the same for all mowers. Different parts, different blades, different bolts. But I'll show you how you do this one. I have it jacked up. I got this car jack. I jacked it up high enough to get at it. And I also have safety blocks that I use because I don't want to be under this machine and have it fall on me. So what I do is I got the safety blocks there. I let this jack down just a little bit. So the tires pick up the weight. A little more. So the weight's on the tires, and I get another little pump. So now it's there it is. Now it's supported by both the jack and that. If the jack fails, it won't go any lower. So one of the first things you do is if I bring you over here, I don't know if you can see this. But I have written on the deck the wrench size, 15/16, and the foot-pounds for torquing them back on, 118 pounds. That way I don't have to look it up every time. Because I use an air gun. It turns them off faster. Also, a lot of times you may want to use a stick of wood to hold up against the blade, so as you loosen the bolt, the blade's going to want to spin, and this will lock the blade from spinning so you can get your wrench to work. With this air tool impact, it doesn't need this, but I'm showing you because you may need it, and I'll just put it down there in case I need it. That's that. I also want to tell you that you should keep in mind how your blades are attached. You got a bolt with a washer and then the blade. And you got to remember which part of the blade is up towards the deck. Usually it's a scooped part. If you have mulching blades, it'll scoop it up and want to cut it up a couple of times. So pay attention to which way your blades are facing when you take them off. Some blades have a tooth or a star tooth, where the blade goes up into a toothed spindle, and you got to get it lined up just right, otherwise you'll deform them and you won't be able to get the blade back on. And keep your washers in order so that you know you put it back the same way you take it apart. Up under the machine, I'm going to wear glasses to keep the dirt, etc. out of my eyes. There's the first blade. Here's the third blade. Notice the large scoops. It's the one closest to my bagger, so it has the most upward force to force the clippings out into the bagger. So that one has to go back there. This is my bolt. Very straightforward. With a washer and a round hole, no stars or tooth washers or anything to watch out for. It's very simple. But yours may be different, so keep an eye on it. So there's one. Here's the other two, they're identical. They also point up to scoop the grass up so it mulches. It's called the mulching blade. You can see the stains or the cleanliness on the blade to tell you which side the washer goes if you forget that the scoop side goes up. Okay? You want to follow the existing shape of the blade when you cut it. That blade's a fair shape. This blade's in fair shape too. You can see I must have hit a rock previously and ground it out. Should have brought the whole thing down, but I didn't. This particular blade has got a lot of nicks in it. This blade was probably closest to the outside edge because I have an area with some stones meet the grass, and every once in a while I hit one. I try not to. So I'm going to swap this one and put this in the middle and put this one on the outside edge so they'll sort of have the same life span. Alright, so get your vise here. Blade in your vise. I got a trash barrel under here, hopefully to pick up some of the grindings. I have a much nicer pair of goggles. Keep all those flying pieces of metal out of the way. Grinding wheel. You can see the new metal. You can see I'm not quite following the angle. I got to tilt it down a little better. And you probably know how to check if a knife blade is sharp. Same deal here. Okay, so they're sharp, they're gonna work. These aren't, you know, I'm not worried about it being straight. If you sent these out, they'd get that out of there and take off more of the blade, but it's gonna cut just fine in my opinion. So you wanna make sure that the blades are balanced because you don't want them wobbling in your spindle. So what I do is I take a pencil, I hold it across the center of the hole, and we see which way the weight wants to go on this thing. And pretty much, you can see that. Let me see. Yeah, that's actually pretty level. Center of the hole, so that one's fine. If it was heavy on one end, it would fall over. So I'm just going to zip off these other two blades. Once again, we'll see if it's relatively level. I mean, equally weighted on both sides of center. That's good. And once again, this is not a professional job, because a professional would cut it way back to get out this. But that's going to cut because it's not quite as sharp as here, but this is still going to cut. I got 3 blades, and I tend to be frugal, so I'm willing to put up with that so that I don't have to buy new blades as often. So now we're going to reattach the blades in the opposite motion, and I'll get you over there. To re-emphasize, this is a mulching blade, and it's near the bagger end. It's got the larger scoops to create more airflow for the clippings to go in. So you put it back up in that way, and then you put your bolt in. Now I have it's a simple bolt. You get it up there by hand, and you just start turning it by hand. You pick the whole thing up like this, and you turn it by hand until you get the bolt all the way in. You don't want to start it with an air wrench or an air tool. You'll cross-strip the threads. So you start it by hand, get it up all the way till it's snug, then you put the wrench on it at the end. If you remember, this was supposed to be torqued to 118 foot-pounds. A couple of ways of doing it. You could use this torque wrench. It's a click style. You set it up to 118 pounds. You push on it, and then when it clicks, there you are, 118 pounds, you stop. But what I've done is, I know that my impact tool on setting number 3 is about 118, 19 pounds. So if I set it on 3, I put it up till it stops, I'm all done. But you can practice with your own tools. It's safer to use that every time. Too tight, you'll strip it. Too loose, it'll come off. But I've been doing this for a couple of years with that same tool, and I've got a feel for it, so it works for me. So I'm going to throw the blades back on, take it off the jack, and mow the grass. I hope I've helped you out.